Ms. Terry Musgrave. I'm the director of the Independent Living Program, also known as Pyramid, and I work with young adults 18 to 22 in community apartments, and the apartments are scattered all over Massachusetts, from Quincy to Lowell to Lynn to Salem, and beyond. And as Nicole said, even when young adults turn 18, it doesn't mean that family isn't still important and we still shouldn't connect them. So it's just nice of you all to come here and listen to us talk about this for a few minutes. So I will give it off to Jonathan, and he can introduce himself.
How we doing, everybody? My name is Jonathan Flores, and I am 20 years old. I been a part of Plummer for 5 years. I moved in when I was 15 at the residential home in Salem. I moved into one of their foster homes at 17, and now I'm in their Pyramid program, or community apartments, as some of you might know it. I'm currently in college at Salem State, studying criminal justice, and I also work full-time.
Yeah.
You can tell he's the public speaker, and I am not. So I have notes. So Jonathan, thank you for that. So this is kind of a two-part question. So when you came to Plummer originally, when you were in the group home, what was that like for you, and who was in your life at that time?
So when I moved into the group home in Salem, if you haven't seen it, it's a beautiful home right on the water from the exterior. And I remember looking at it, I'm like, wow, I am moving into a mansion. This is the life to live. And I walked inside, and it wasn't that much nice, little outdated. But when I moved in, I had really no one. I had myself, and I had my social worker who was assigned to me. But that's about it.
And once you started with Plummer and you worked with the organization for a while, how has that evolved with people in your life and the supports that you look to?
So when I moved into Plummer, I had nobody, and one of the first things that shocked me about Plummer Home from DCF itself is that they let me have my voice in a lot of things. They got to ask me a lot of questions. So they asked me, who do you want to get in contact with? And I hadn't seen my family in years. I haven't contacted my family in years. And I was like, I'd like to reach out to my brothers and all that. And then they proceeded to talk to me about, you ever thought about extending kind of like the idea of family to people who aren't related to you? And Plummer does a lot of things with permanency, trying to find your forever family who aren't necessarily related to you. And just to make it quick, because we have a short amount of time, Plummer ended up connecting me with one of my history teachers that I went to Swampscott High with. I was a troublemaker, and he took me under his wing, and Plummer invited them to one of the family events at the group home, and he came out, and he proceeds to say, hey, listen, you're like my son now. And he proceeded to teach me how to drive. He gave me my first car. He helped me apply for college, and he is now part of my forever family. Without Plummer, I wouldn't be able to have that connection. I probably wouldn't have been able to drive, have a job. I mean, a lot of the connections that I have is through this young man who was a history teacher, who's now the assistant principal at that high school, in fact. So because of them, they really went above and beyond. That's something the state necessarily wouldn't do.
Thank you, Jonathan. So yeah, just highlighting how important it is to listen to the young people we work with, because they know best, we don't. It's important to just listen to what's important to you and who's important to you, and help you find that is really what makes the work so good. So one more question for you, if we have time, maybe two, we'll see. So when you first came into care and into Plummer versus now, how has your outlook changed, just as a general? Maybe it's with school or with work, or just in life in general.
So when I first moved into Plummer at 15, I had the dead set mentality that I was going to join the Marine Corps and ship off and serve 20 years, and just that was going to be my life. I was just going to serve off in the military, find a family there, because a lot of foster kids, alumni, actually join the military to kind of find their place. That was my mindset. I'm going to join the military. I'm going to do open contract, which means, for those of you who don't know, they pick whatever they want you to do infantry. They'll have you do infantry. They want you to become a chef. They'll have you become a chef. That was my mindset because I had no one. And by the time I was 18, I established a network in the North Shore. I knew a lot of people. I had friends. I had people that I could call family, and my whole outlook changed. I wanted to join the military out of hopelessness, but instead I was like, you know what, let me try to make a change with the life that I have. So I decided to enroll in college, which is why I'm in college. I'm a criminal justice major, and I do a lot of these things, and I do a lot of youth advocacy, and I'm very passionate about juvenile justice and foster care because I got to see how we grew up as kids, and I don't want younger kids to grow up in the same ways that we grew up. So my outlook on life has completely changed. It's no longer hopeless. I have a lot of hope, and I have a network here, thanks to Plummer, thanks to the work that they have done.
Thank you. That's wicked sweet. So, with just the last question for you before we close this out, and then if you have anything else that you want to say. With coming to Plummer, with seeing Plummer just as a whole, is there anything that surprised you about Plummer, the organization, the people there, that you want to just talk about and let this wonderful crowd know about?
The thing that surprises me about Plummer is that they care. And, you know, a lot of you may think to yourselves, well, isn't that what, you know, the system does? They should care for these kids. They unfortunately don't. A lot of these social workers are thrown a million cases, and you're just another name on a file. And as much as they would like to care, they're too overworked and underpaid to care. But Plummer does indeed care. They're extremely underfunded, but they work way harder than the state. And that is something that I've always been amazed about, something I'm extremely grateful for. The amount of hours they put in, their time, their effort when they're clocked in, when they're clocked out, going above and beyond for these children is just so noble. I've never seen something like it. I wish Plummer could go national with the permanency work they do. I work at a restaurant in Salem called Rockefeller's, and I have people from all over the world come. And sometimes, you know, I'll spark up a conversation with them, and some of them will mention adoption or whatever, and I'll be like, you know, you guys really ought to look at Plummer Youth Promise because this is something that needs to be put nationally. So, you know, I don't want to get emotional, but it truly is something that I'm just truly blessed that we have it here in the North Shore, and I wish it could go statewide and nationally. But do God's will, of course.
Maybe someday.